Hey there. Hey there. So I got a little bit of a discussion to start with tonight, this evening. So let's start with that. Every just so many things are automated now, aren't they? Just so much is automated. Like when do you have a real person anymore? Everything's AI, everything's automated. I mean, sometimes you go to the drive-through and even that's automated these days. So, I've started to pick up on the fact that we have a lot of automated channels now too, and they're doing pretty well. Here's what's crazy. I do a stream that seems, you know, automated or whatever for they lie about how many views I get. It's crazy. I sit here and document it too. It's insane. I do it and they lie about it, but there's entire channels doing this crap. Literally just looping the same video for hours and hours and hours. Remember when it started with like making sure it was something important, like something that like public information, like again, nothing the president says anymore is important. Like that guy is such an idiot. You never know what the heck he's gonna actually do. Anything he says is just it's up in the air. Who knows? So, you can't say that's public information anymore. It's just a bunch of people reporting that some crazy lunatic with clown makeup is the president of the United States. And, the rest of us, we're being silenced because he doesn't get enough views. And he doesn't get enough, the White House has to be a frickin' TV show. The ongoing court hearing of the Charlie Kirk thing must be looped on live feeds with live chats. With live chat. You could just take the live chat off. Or like I'm having problems with some stalker here, so I have to put mine on subscriber mode. I'm not trying to limit people that would want to actually talk, but at the same time, I gotta try to combat that. And then, again, the whole point is this entire channel is probably just looping footage anyway. So it's just really incredible, like, how much stuff gets, like, accelerated and viewed, and people put money in it, and it's incredible. Yet, I'm on here. Now, you know why, right? It's because I sat on here and told y'all that anything crypto, anything Bitcoin, anything that is a scam. Because I was right. And I was just trying to warn you. But, again, I'm like 10, 15 years ahead of the curve. I understand stuff. I just see it for what it is. And everybody just wanted to be like, oh, great, there's this new thing. And, just because some people were slapping it on a credit card, therefore. Again, real money is backed by something. The US dollar is backed by something. What is Bitcoin backed by? It's sure as hell not backed by the same thing that the Federal Reserve is backed by. And meanwhile, Trump Jr.'s combining all of these companies into one. One of the craziest Ponzi schemes I've ever seen in broad daylight. There you go. There you go, Troll Slayer. It took you, I'm sure that took you 3 seconds to look that up. Even if you didn't have to look it up. Yeah, I'm sure maybe you even knew that. But 3 seconds, right? Yeah. You know, everybody acts like this is like this most terrible thing. No, the whole point is that's the only thing they can say about it. There were other people that did this, like Lewis Black, George Carlin. You guys gotta understand, these guys were speaking truth and yelling it at people long before I was. I'm just not as good at it. I like George Carlin's joke. To quote the man, the wonderful, the magnificent George Carlin. To quote the man, he once said something to the effect of, you know, people are real stupid. Yeah, you get a pencil and a pad, and you walk around all day and you make a list. If you'll have a full list of some stupid people by the end of the day. See, I suck at this. I can't tell jokes. All I can do is sit here and rant about the Orange Man, and it's true, and it's funny. But expecting my comedic timing to work while that buffoon is in office, that's just not gonna happen, man. I don't have any. I don't have any anymore. It's gone. I can just sit here and only be very, very, very concerned, and really, really hope that I have a sense of humor about it. That's all I can do. It's like fighting the urge to do this or this. He did what? Today? He said what? Yo, there needs to be people like this. You can't silence it. You shouldn't, I should say. Because when you do, then you get this result where people don't feel like, you know, they don't feel like they have that outlet where they can laugh at somebody who's telling it how it is. You know, everybody's just afraid to say it how it is or whatever, you know? And then they can't even feel okay about it. Like there's not a single person out there that feels the same way or something like that. Man, I think it's really important to remember that. I think it's really, really important to remember that people need sometimes be able to receive these things as news, as facts, but also as comedy. It's life. Oh, man. I think that enough of that too, where you allow more of that, you allow more, like, of that sort of thing, you get the result where more people might be less on edge too. They might be more inclined to be patient with each other and stuff like that. So, just collectively, because obviously there's this big thing going around. Everybody's just, it's everybody. It's obviously it's the fast moving internet. It's everything being instantaneous, and the generations and stuff like that learning more and more just on the internet. Not only, but more and more only on the internet. More and more with instant sort of concepts of I'll always have a calculator, or I'll always have a internet, or something like that, and it's just not the case. It's just not true. And understanding to keep those wits about you. And then the only way to do that sometimes, for some people, because again, like, you need that comedy, you need to you need to remind yourself, that yes, it is that bad. It is that bad. But does it really, really help anything whatsoever to be all upset and bent out of shape and shouty about everything and stuff like that? Not necessarily. And I could almost always agree that that's almost always never the course that you should take, to be that way, obviously, just as a generalization. So, I think that, and again, this is a big one. Like, you see these channels that are just doing well all over social media in general. It doesn't matter what platform. We could talk about this platform, we could talk about other platforms, but just just social media in general, where tons of them are doing really well, but they're doing really well conveniently if they're talking good about a certain orange man, and again, they're conveniently just saying the same things over and over again, because there really isn't much to say. There's nothing left to compliment. And trust me, like, it's not like I'm the guy that wants to sit here and and man, man, I want a good Republican in there. Man, I do. You have no idea. Man, that would be great. If for once there would be actually a good one. That's all I'm saying. It just keeps getting worse. So if you want to talk politics and you want to talk the smart things of it, I mean, just quite frankly, the Democrats that have been in office lately, the past several decades, have been successful and been good at their jobs for the most part, and the Republicans have not. That's what you should take from history and from facts. It's not a statement of I'm choosing a side. I would love for there to be a great Republican, or a smart one for that matter. We haven't had a smart one. I'm not trying to bust on George W. I love the guy. He's great. He's ethically a sound individual. I truly believe that. But he was never the brightest apple. And I think he knows that. I think he sort of embraced that a little bit, and it was great. This guy, man, he can't even take a hit when it's obvious. He can't. I've sat here and said to you that while being seemingly intelligent myself, I don't claim to be the most intelligent person in the world. And I've also sat here and told you that Elon Musk, someone like that, is actually probably smarter than I am. He probably is. He's probably a good deal smarter than I am. That's why it's so strange that he would back this guy and just make these terrible decisions and stuff like this. You have to realize, again, it's not about intelligence. It's about a worldview. It's about a perspective, and then just never seeing it another way. It's tunnel vision. Yeah, always living in with a silver spoon or something like that, where you have an answer to something because of this. That's America. That's why it's so great. There's nothing to do with anything except that. And the moment they start destroying that and hoarding it all, what do you think happens after that? Like it's something let's say something happens to the country. There is a World War III, Civil War, something like that. What do you think happens to those really, really rich people? And again, there's now a new bunker built under the White House after this new construction. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't know what it is, guys. Must be just the coffee. Something about the coffee tonight. No. The point is that it's this easy for somebody that has... This is what they've been doing. They've been following it. It's not necessarily something I want to do. But I can do it. Clearly. And I'm not trying to be rude to anybody. I'm not trying to unhear your opinions. I'm not. I'm trying to hear them. But most of them sound really uneducated, really unintelligible. And that's not to be rude. It's just that's the way, truthfully, most people that have been following politics and paying attention, that's the way it sounds when it's like a very quick suggestion that you, in your mind, have the answer to already. You've heard it a million times. People have already said it. You've looked up countless times how to debate this, how to, if you're right, you might consider, I might consider it myself if more people are saying this. Did I look at this right? Did I research this right? And then take a look at it again. I do those things, but I feel like the vast majority of people don't care and don't do that with politics and don't think about it that way. And so that's what you have to realize, is that people that do this, the Late Show hosts and stuff like that, that's why they're really good at talking about it. Because just like I have, they've been sitting here following along the whole time. Probably a lot more, because it's their job. They were getting paid to do it too. So of course it would be even more. They would know better than I do. And my message aligns with them. I remember many times calling some things conveniently a day before Jon Stewart would air with something, exactly the same sort of joke or message or something like that. And I'm just like loving it, So you gotta respect the fact that it's just the fact that like there was all of a sudden a lot of people that felt a certain way about this whole thing that happened on January 6th. Like, we know that. And we know that there's this thing up in the air where the most extreme side of both. We know what it is. All of us do. That are smart. We know, we're aware. We're not aware. We're not aware of it. Just so that you know. And what you have to understand about the most extreme, like what you're thinking and stuff like that, worried that's going to happen and stuff. I think that the folks that jump on that train to get in line behind this guy and stuff like that, the guy that's wearing the clown makeup. I think it's, again, very easy to determine that they're just, a lot of the time, you know, somebody that, not an anarchist, not somebody that just wants, to destroy stuff and loot, and we're not talking about that. I'm talking about like rational people. It's folks that are busy, that don't do this, that don't think about it, that don't even, maybe don't even watch news. Yeah, and truthfully, I'm not trying to be mean, but first responders are going to be some of the people at the top of this list. Do you know why, though? Be respectful. I understand why. I'm trying to be respectful. You should truly understand why, and this is I think why a lot of the senators, the Democratic senators and stuff, are being sort of understanding and stuff like that. And so that's what you got to understand, is they do get it. But again, the reason why is because these folks don't have time to do anything. They literally don't. I mean, quite frankly, sometimes their shift is so long, because again, if they're at a call, like they get a call at the end of their shift's now extended 3 or 4 hours, however long that call takes or whatever, depending on, hopefully it's not that long, obviously, but who knows? So you gotta understand that it's not that they don't care, it's that when do they have time? Now, here's my take on that. Here's my take on that. Here's something we should all agree to, and you shouldn't feel moronic, stupid, less intelligent. You should feel ignorant, because it's just ignorance. It's lack of knowledge in certain areas. It's not, hey, everybody's not an engineer, Okay, so not everybody's a political science major. I mean, truthfully, this stuff is not the easiest stuff to understand. You gotta understand economics, foreign policy, and world governments is super important. It really is. And this is a really, really big concept for foreign trade and just relations elsewhere in general, just because of customs and stuff like that. and it's just so important. Like the thing of like our own president, the current one, accidentally like touching a prince or something like that. Like you're like understanding that like you're not really supposed to. Nobody touches that guy. Like just respecting things like that and trying to be respectful of things like that and understanding things like that. It's like just stuff like that. Super. You're probably thinking from here, from our perspective, like who cares? Well, when you're over there, that stuff matters. They want to know that you're going to respect their customs and their country the same as you would over here. That's how that stuff works. Otherwise, you're not going to get along, or you're going to get along and they're going to try to trick you. Like it's just that basic, okay? So anyway, with with the current one, with all this, with the current one in charge, you have to understand that these folks that do these jobs, they don't have time to do the research, and I'm just letting you know. It's the type of thing where to them they're going to look at it like, almost anybody that has something to say about it, they're going to look at it the same way that they look at whatever their job, whatever it is that how they view life. So again, if they have a job where they constantly let's say the crutch in the job is to unfortunately profile people. Let's say it's that. Now that's probably what they're going to do when they receive information from a strange person that they now might not necessarily trust that information from. They're going to profile whoever it comes from. So this is a lot of times what you get with, I think, the streamers and stuff, where like independent podcasters a lot of times do much better, because it's the way it's perceived and looked at. You know, now obviously before, the thought is, well, all these people put this time into, and this should be the thought a lot of times, but corporate corruption became a thing, and I understand that. But originally, the idea is that, all these people put all this work into it. They all went to college. They all careers to do this. It's a network, show or whatever. Why wouldn't you trust that? That's trustworthy and stuff like that. But obviously now, eventually we became concerned about corporate greed and aware of that, and, became more prevalent. So the whole point is, people became less trusting of it. But you have to understand that while that's going on, it's not everybody. So this is what folks do. They just assume it's every network. And quite frankly, they get it wrong sometimes. So, again, I've sat here and told you I don't frankly think that Fox News sits here and constantly just has a, problem with misreporting on the news sides of things. But again, if you're sitting there watching some program like Fox and Friends, I mean, geez, that's just a bunch of people talking about their own opinions. It's not real news reporting at all. So where are you trying to get your information from? And are you letting somebody's opinion impact the way you view world things just because that person to you looks a certain way? How do you know? I just, again, just because it's a podcast, that also does not mean anything either. And you also can't sit here and say that every podcaster is under scrutiny and stuff. That doesn't make any sense either. Take it as it comes. That's all you have to do. Take it as it comes. And you can momentarily lift this or go back to it. All right, I remember recently I sort of talked about another channel, how I felt about, their approach at certain things and stuff like that. And I thought I raised some valid points. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if they listened, but I feel like they wanted to do this anyway. They wanted to sort of go a different route anyway, because maybe they were already feeling this way too. But I will tell you one thing. I gave them likes, and, I really supported the heck out of it when I saw a difference in what I saw. So anybody can change their mind at any time and view somebody differently. Again, I don't hate the person. The whole point is to hope that somebody does better and makes different choices. So, I actually did see that. I saw it pretty much right away after this, and good. But it was to the degree, we're talking actually helping and raising awareness and helping and stuff that's great. So that's somebody not only meeting the challenge and head on, but then rising to it in such a way that they actually help. That's a good person. That's not somebody that had some sort of, you know, bad intentions or anything like that. So that's a good thing. And this is what I think a lot more people should do. Now don't look at it like, you know, it's just words, man. And again, if those words are true, then having any action that isn't to, you know, essentially adjust what you're doing, you know, that's where that crutch, that flaw would be, essentially, in that logic and reasoning, where you don't understand why you're always getting debates wrong, or you're always getting this wrong, or something like that, and then eventually you just have to agree to disagree, you know, or something like that. It's that, you know, the again, the thing we talked about plenty of times before with being in denial about something. I perfectly understand this. Anybody understands this. It's definitely it's always pretty tough. You know, everybody's been through this. You know, you're wrong about something. You're just like, man, this guy, you know, or something like that. But you have to realize in that moment. You have to stop yourself and realize in that moment, I'm now being that guy. I have to not do that, or in the future, I'm going to want that person or somebody else to have that same respect. That's why you do that. And that's what you have to realize in that moment. You can't, well, you shouldn't. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't say that. I should say you can't, because you do whatever the hell you want. But you shouldn't. You shouldn't do that, because you know, again, that's not gonna, it's, in my opinion, in my experience in life, it is definitely not going to help you. It's going to do the opposite in the long run, because you're not making that adjustment and learning anything about what other people are trying to teach you about this experience. You're just keeping the same logic and staying the same, and then that's the tunnel vision. You know, again, would you learn you know, again, these guys that come in that are inexperienced and stuff like that, they had to learn politics too, and had to learn how to do the jobs, you know, and so would you learn a skill, you know, like from somebody that's inexperienced at that skill, you know? Would that make sense? Would you just, again, and let's actually talk about, let's dissect that for a second. I think this is something that folks don't do enough with this particular job position. The President of the United States is not, in my opinion, somebody that should be looked at as necessarily somebody that needs to understand even economy things. I don't care. Now, because of what's going on right now, it's always nice to hear that they might hire people that will, you know, obviously care about those things, not just spend a ton of money. But the whole point is that the job application, you know, the requirements and stuff is what you should think about. You know, you think about this with almost any other job, but I'll be willing to bet that most people don't think about it, you know, with the President of the United States. So let's think about it a little bit, okay? And again, when you consider the job for the President of the United States, why would this be anything that's... And again, you see the bit rate in the top right corner as soon as we're discussing this. So, you know, again, you guys remember, we're That's why that's there, to break up what I'm saying and kick you out of the stream. So if you're getting buffering, that is actually the Trump administration. Again, these MAGA, cultists, they really do sit here and do these things. And I've been stalked and being harassed by one for quite some time. And so that's what the bitrate is on my channel. Somebody, has been doxing information and stuff like that, and causing problems. And so, again, if you're getting buffering, that's what's going on here, where this person's been doing this for a very, very long time. And so they're just trying to break up what I'm saying and kick you out of the stream so that it affects the trending and it affects the views of the stream, so that all the views get removed and stuff like that, and I don't have a lot of views and stuff. So that's all they're trying to do. And again, it is MAGA. There's 20 after they did that. There's only 27 views counted on this stream entirely. And you guys know that there's been, obviously in the hundreds watching the whole time. So just figured I would say something and let you know. I mean, it's kind of obvious that it's happening, but I just figured I'd let you know that that's what's going on there. Again, this is just the Trump administration attacking civilians. So that's all this is. And again, it's the same content creator that's he was a January 6th protester. So he's like been hiding, and he's been like harassing me and stalking me ever since I've been talking about Trump. So like that's really what's going on. Like these guys, they literally follow people around and do this. So it's literally just these like groups of people that are like targeting people that are trying to speak anything negative about Trump or anything like that. And again, they've been doing it pretty consistently. So the one content creator, he went and created a ton of videos that he stole from my channel and doxed people's personal private information, like street addresses and stuff like that, names, pictures, and stuff like that, all over his channel. That person's original channel name, his original channel name, again, his name was No Sleep Wiblo. So if you want to go ahead and attack the guy that's actually doing this, that's actually who's doing all of this. The person that's typing the hashtags on the chat every day with like all these different accounts and stuff. That's literally just that person. And again, he was working with somebody else who gave him all the information, and that's the other person that again sat here and manipulated the streams and stuff like that for a long time. And that person's channel, again, his name used to be Cookie Plays or something like that. He keeps changing it. It's just really weird. But again, these two guys sat here and caused problems for me for a long time, and this was never this malicious until they were sitting here causing all these problems the entire time they were doing that. So just figured I would throw that out there for anybody that's wondering who's actually been doing this malicious like this in the corner of your screen, because again, the bitrate doesn't just do that. So I just figured I'd let you know, if you're getting buffering and stuff like that, it is to affect my views. Again, they're just removing all the views. So you guys have been watching. We're at 27 views counted. Only 27 views counted. So that's what we're at for the stream. Even though again it's been in the hundreds. So I just figured I'd let you know. But anyway, we are going to talk about the the job for the President of the United States. And again, they definitely don't want you to hear this. And at the same time, the person that's doing this, the reason that it's happening is because YouTube scams this to happen. Like, essentially, all they're doing is using a stream software to record my stream as I'm live. And YouTube just does this to my bitrate. So literally, like, that's literally all that's happening. It's just like an endless thing that happens because they're sitting here doing it, because this is what YouTube does to people when somebody sits here and uses a stream software to record your stream. So literally, they're just sitting here harassing. So basically, that's why YouTube, like, they're gonna have like problems and like lawsuits and stuff like that, because it does mess with my views and my trending. So let me just show you here. If you see here, we're at 28 views here, as you can see there, even though it clearly says there's that many people. And as you can see, there is a concurrent counter right here. Okay, that is an active concurrent counter. So when that's the active concurrent counter right here, you know that they're doing it to lie about the views. So I've just figured I would let you know that that's what's going on there. This is literally just to lie about my views. So that's why the bit rate is being moved around maliciously. And again, it's, you know, probably as soon as I get talking about this subject again, about the President of the United States, about the clown that's in the office right now, that bit rate will continue to be malicious, because this is literally what they're doing. They are doing this for him. And again, I want to reiterate to you, they're probably the people organizing all these murders. So the person actually doing this and shifting my bitrate around, you will find a lot of people's personal data on his hard drive. And I guarantee you, he is probably organizing some murders and trying to get people unalived. So I'm just letting you know. I gave you those channel names of what they used to be called. They've changed them by now and gone into hiding. But YouTube, no matter how many times I reported this person, they didn't do anything. Street address was typed into this person has my street address and had it typed into the title of a YouTube video on their channel with my real name, my picture, and again, my street address typed into the title of this video, and this was for like an entire year. And I reported it over and over and over to YouTube, and they did nothing for an entire year. And again, like I said, they eventually didn't do anything anyway, because he just went into hiding. So that's who's doing this with the bitrate, and that's why he's continuing to do it. Remember, it would have always probably stopped by now. Like, I say this, it just sort of stops. That's why it's continuing to happen. And remember, anytime I call him out by name, it gets malicious for a long time. So remember when I told you about the last Epoch streams where you could go in and see that him and his, apparently his uncle or whatever, used to sit there in my chat, and he was trying to get to know me and get to know things about me. You can go in and see him in chat and see just how long he was sitting there pretending to be a friend and stuff, and this guy's doing all this. Again, he made that he was the one that said all those sexual things in the chat that we reported to the state police. That was the report we made to the state police, that he was making sexual statements pretending to be other people in my chat. Yeah. So I just want to put that out there, that is who is doing all of this. And again, he's made the statement that he is doing it for that is politically motivated. He's made the statement that, he's made many threats, actually. So anyway, I just figured I would put that out there. But, again, you're going to get buffering. So, again, if you want to watch this later or whatever. I just figured I would let you know, again, that you want to take a look at the qualifications for, again, the President of the United States. Now, did you see that giant chunk of views get removed as soon as I start talking about this? I just look at that, okay? Just huge chunks, all right? So remember, this is to break up what I'm saying, and it's to really, really, really just get you to tune out and just really mess with the flow of the stream, obviously. I'm sure you guys get the point by now. The stream was really good quality. People were tuning in. Again, it's going to look like shit now. It'll look like shit forever. It'll cause problems for the processing. And again, this is what my lawyer's been waiting for, stuff like this, so that we can sit here and again, have tons of these streams where it interferes with the quality of the stream, and you can clearly see it's fine before the bitrate does this, and then as soon as the bitrate does this, it causes all kinds of problems, especially later when you're trying to watch or something like that. Again, it causes issues for the processing. So this is again, very telling of YouTube. This is not something that their system should do. This is not something that their stream should be doing. Again, we're just sitting here having a conversation. There's nothing, there's no copyright or anything like that, So, basically, again, we're just looking at a security breach. That's all. So, anyway, as for the qualifications of the President of the United States, again, what you have to realize is you want to take a look at that just like anybody would that's like hiring for a job. And, again, he doesn't necessarily, I don't really care about him trying to be good with the economy necessarily or anything like that, because, again, he's the commander-in-chief of the military. Your senators, your representatives in Congress, they take care of the budgeting. They deal with that. So why are you sitting here trying to put that on the president? The president should be the commander-in-chief. And should hire people that do the jobs properly. Should be able to do that. Should be able to hire administration to do those jobs properly, to handle your economy. So, when consistently we get a Democrat that does do those things for the most part, and a Republican that just doesn't, what does this look like? Now again, I want to really point out that these massive chunks of views are coming off. Again, just take a look. You guys are all still in here. Huge amount of views. And views are just literally coming off constantly. So again, this is just going to further the lawsuit that we have against YouTube and against, again, this person that's doing this. It's just going to further continue to prove that and add documentation to the case that we have going for that. So, it doesn't, the person doing this, again, the more you do it, and again, especially this is going to come back on Trump. Especially because we have all this evidence. We have tons of it. And we also have tons of it going back to when they were causing abrupt disconnections for me when I was warning you about the election. A lot of this started. Again, this was not this bad and this malicious. These malicious attacks really started, really getting very, very malicious and abruptly ending the streams, disconnections, all kinds of stuff. Again, right around the time when it was election time, and I was warning you about the incoming candidate, and I was making sense, and I was one of the only people making sense. I was one of the only people saying things that was actually making sense, adding up, sensible. It wasn't rude and yelling at people and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden I started getting stalked and harassed. I had all these people driving into Taco Bell, shouting out their window at me. Basically somebody doxed me somewhere. Some information, probably out of context, probably not true, and got something to happen. So basically, I actually really do have a real stalking defamation case here. And lots of proof. And some of those people that were like driving by and stuff like that, they were doing it while I was streaming. It happened right on stream. Literally right there. Stream recorded it, heard it, and everything. Again, nobody recognized me. Nobody did do this before, yet all in one day, I get 3-4 different people at the same location. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Now look at the likes. Look at the views. Look at everything. Look at what this weird, obsessive troll. Again, you're supposed to recognize that this follows a pattern. It follows the pattern that MAGA represents. Chaos, disorder, stupidity. Again, I come on here rational, logical, meaningful. And it's screwed with on purpose for a reaction. You know that. And, that the reaction doesn't happen. So they start messing with views. Again, you're supposed to recognize for every time that I give some sort of shouty response or something like that, then this just continues to exacerbate. The whole point is, why would that be the case? Why would YouTube or company, like the point is, if somebody was really being harassed and really felt that harassed that they would actually shout at the person, why wouldn't YouTube do something about the person causing this? Do you understand what I'm saying? So the whole point is YouTube actually helps the person harassing people. So what you're supposed to recognize is that this platform actually attacks people and does do that. Like behind the scenes, actively, they really do it. It's not made up, it's not a conspiracy, and people know it too. Like literally just people at this company, the YouTube, Google themselves. Because remember, that's the issue. The issue is the large corrupt companies. So the people at Google, again, remember, they own YouTube. So again, when I submit all these reports over the years and I get all these emails and stuff like that back, again, it comes back from Google employees. I have those little stamps on there. It says has their logo on there and everything. You know, at any point, I could sit here and I could go all through those emails. You know, I would block out some, personal information to make sure I'm not leaking stuff. But we could just, again, the point is I could just sit here and I could read through all those emails and show you just how they did nothing. Like literally just never doing a single thing. Literally claiming all they're doing is submitting it to legal, submitting it to legal, submitting it to legal, submitting it to legal, submitting it to legal. That's them not doing anything. That's a lawyer. What are you talking about, legal? That's a lawyer. You should submit it to the authorities. Huh? What? Huh? What are you talking about? What on earth are you talking about? You're a platform. This is happening on your platform. It's your responsibility. I'm reporting it to you to be nice. I don't have to do that. Again, I can go to the FBI, I can go to the FCC, and I have. But that's the point. Like, I shouldn't have had to do that. Oh yeah, they've been reported a bajillion times to all kinds of federal agencies for what's been going on here. Oh my goodness, yes. But this is to think that, again, regularly somebody can just sit on this platform and harass somebody to this degree. You have to understand what that means. What does that mean? You have to understand what that means. You have to follow that logic just like you'd follow that logic with something else. Now, again, it means the platforms are irresponsible. It means they don't have checks and balances like they should. It means that somebody, or maybe many people, are making a ton of money off of harming people. It's probably what it means. And there's a real good chance that it's the government. And I've got news for you. This shit escalates as Trump's coming into office and goes away as he leaves. That's how it's always been for me. So who the hell do you think that is? Because I got news for you. Biden ain't sitting here individually looking at people going after that. That doesn't make any sense. He's got better things to do. Like forget where to leave, from the podium or whatever. I mean, he's got better stuff to do. But apparently, the current guy, he doesn't. And remember, one of his things to do isn't to get sleep. So somebody that's 80 years old, isn't he like 80? Isn't he 81 or something like that? Somebody that's that old, maybe he's like 78 or something like that. I don't know. He's almost 80. Somebody that's this old doesn't get more than 3-4 hours every night. Again, you'd be lucky if he's in his right mind if he got enough sleep. But he eats fast food. He's the president, and that job already is incredibly demanding and taxing on anybody. And then, on top of it, well, consider the fact that he's just been lying and being dishonest. So, of course, of course that's going to be stressful. I need coffee. So, I shot an email quick too. Tell somebody to take a look at what was going on here. Um, so anyway, anyway, the job literally needs to be looked at like any other job with the proper, literally the proper qualifications. When you hire a plumber, you don't sit here and hire your electrician. He was a businessman and he wasn't even good at that. He went bankrupt 6, 7 times. Yeah, that's the point. And again, the President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief of the military. So, yeah, obviously I want him to know how to hire people to do certain jobs, like, maybe deal with the economy or something. I want to know, I want him to know how to do that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I need him to understand how that works. I mean, it's a bonus, and he's going to learn a little bit. At least I hope. But I don't necessarily need him to understand that. I want him to understand how to hire for it. Because otherwise, again, you get people don't know what they're doing. Could make really, really huge mistakes, very costly ones. Does that sound familiar? I mean, even he's admitting it, and I'm glad to hear him admitting it. I think he should have just spent time focusing on his own companies, because clearly he was always that was always gonna happen. I tried to warn him. I even think I took to a stream and I was like, I'm just letting you know, if you do this. And yeah, he single-handedly bought him his win. It's like, if you do this, he's gonna use you just the same way he uses everybody else for that. It's his fault. They're just gonna pin it on you. You're his scapegoat. To not actually deal with a problem. Because that's the point. He really hasn't. You think if he knew how, he wouldn't? He would. You need to understand the problem is the Republicans. They will never actually want to do anything to actually help you. That's the problem. And he probably didn't realize that originally, but he certainly knows it now. I'm sure he does. And while he's probably, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he didn't plan on ripping everybody off. I'm sure he probably planned on giving everybody. But again, the Republicans never did. They always spent more money. And I mean, they're the reason we are in a deficit. Iraq is the reason we had a deficit in the first place. We had a surplus before Iraq. We had a surplus before Iraq. And then after Iraq, we had a deficit. That never went away. And that was George W. And like I said, that's kind of the point. Commander-in-Chief of the military, but again, that doesn't necessarily give you the right to just be like, well, we should go to war. And so, again, that stuff should have never happened. Just kind of like what's happening now. We're just, again, remember this guy started a lot of his campaigning way back saying, exactly opposite of this, that he's not going to get involved. We're not going to get involved. We should never get involved. He said those things. He also said things like a government shutdown makes the president look bad. Because they're supposed to bring everybody together. Hey, those are his words, man. Those are his words. His words. Again, I am all for, and that's why I appreciate that this channel did what they did, as I mentioned earlier. I think that, if you want to actually do some good and stuff like that, and, again, targeting people that are actually doing bad things, that makes sense. But again, you have a lot of people showing up at the border filming like just some one-off things that look bad on the surface, people hopping a wall or something like that. And it does. But that's not the massive, that's not even even the Border Patrol people they interview when they do that stuff, they themselves actually will oftentimes say, that's not even the problem. The point is, the problem is you have literally just all, again, if you don't actually deal with the people that are here, that are, again, causing the issues that have been here for a while, that are siphoning, they got criminal organizations and stuff like that, and they need illegals or whatever, they're the issue. It doesn't look like people that are trying to become citizens, that are at the hardware store because they have jobs and they're trying to do more jobs or something like that. It doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that. And it sure doesn't look like dragging a pregnant lady across the ground. It doesn't look like doing this. Again, we have border laws. that allow them to cross. We have open borders for a reason of economic trade and allowing trucks and regular trade to come in. And the concept of having regular immigration, because you want that. You want culturally people from other countries to be there. Again, you want those things. Again, this does help that trade relation, and this does help with those things. And then the same person causing this problem would sit here and lie to you about a tariff, saying that country pays for it when you do. So just remember that. Remember that person, that same person that's sitting here trying to say they pay for the tariff, is lying to you and saying that you don't pay for it when you clearly do. So just want to remind you this, like, it's all lies, okay? We have deportation policies. We have ways of going about this using legal means. It does not look like what you've seen. It doesn't. Otherwise, again, why wouldn't it happen under a Democrat? Again, if they can do this legally speaking, and they would want to, because again, Democrats, Obama himself, absolutely cared about immigration and deported illegals. He did. This is what the mass misconception. And that's not a side. That's me just knowing the facts of the situation. Obama did that too. But he didn't. It didn't look like a bunch of buses showing up and arresting without probable cause and dragging a pregnant lady across the ground. It's not what it looked like. It doesn't look like waiting outside court hearings for people and arresting them. It's not what it looks like. Incredibly illegal things. There are things that are being ruled on by judges. Judges are saying, Donald, you can't do this. And he's doing it anyway. Even George W. said, we'll respect the courts. Yeah, I mean, he has some, he earns respect by doing that. So you gotta look at, you have to look at it, again, the job of the president as, again, a job where you are flat out, you are the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military in the world, and you have a responsibility to not misuse it. I think number one, not misuse it. Number one, don't misuse it. Number two, don't allow others to misuse it. So like psychological warfare, coups and stuff like that. Make sure that after your tenure in office, another can come in. Otherwise, it's misuse. And allowing others to misuse it. And don't ever create, again, you can't create a civil unrest. The moment that you create mass civil unrest, now, again, if you did that, like, you're doing the very thing that you would use that Insurrection Act for. Like, you did that, And then you're going to try to claim that you're going to use the Insurrection Act. You did that. You did it on purpose for the sake of using the Insurrection Act. So that, like, recognize the biggest scammer on the planet when you see him. You know, just literally setting things up for the purpose of having a reason to do this or that. You know, again, I hope that you really are looking at these likes, the bit rate, the view, you know, again, everything that's just coming off, being added in mass quantity, coming off, being added, coming off, being added. Again, I don't believe for a second that necessarily instantly this many people are in the stream. But one thing I will say is that when somebody does do this, it does bring legitimate viewers in here. And the point is that this person is doing this to count on the fact that their system is trash when they move the bitrate around. So the whole point is they view bot, it causes trending for me, then they move the bitrate around maliciously so that way it mistakenly removes way more. And so thus, I actually get less than I would have had. You know, when I started sitting here and talking and stuff like that, everybody knew I was going to start getting like thousands and stuff. For sure. I always got hundreds when I was gaming live. And then anytime I would start ranting or just like talking, especially politics, I started getting a lot more. And so that's, again, this stalker targeted me. I had some pretty nasty people on my podcast the one time. I had an idiot too that just like literally wouldn't shut up about things that didn't matter and weren't about the podcast I was doing. Like, just kept having some sort of input about, you know, Middle East influence and stuff like that. You know, just obviously this person is influenced by Russian media, so, you know, probably the same person. But the point is, they were just saying things completely unrelated to what I was talking about, and it was obviously to detract from what I was trying to do. So, you know, again, just the same sort of types of tactics where you have to recognize that YouTube doesn't care, isn't doing anything about it, and quite frankly is enabling it to the point that they actually, I think, are helping, obviously, with the bitrate and all that stuff, this person do these things, all for the sake of canceling channels and stuff like that. So that's why you see, and again, remember, you see non-stop live streams, political streams, just freaking looped. And they get tons of viewers, tons of them. But I do that, and they sit here in YouTube, and again, nobody else is doing that. YouTube is lying about the views. Just like they just did here. Yeah, I mean, like, how many people are sitting here watching right now? And YouTube's sitting here saying 49. 49. That's how many we're counting. 49. And so the whole point is they started spamming chat with personal information that obviously then the whole point is chat, people were talking in chat, so that way it proved people were in here and it wasn't just view bots. So the whole point is then they started actually, YouTube is doing this. They started actually sitting there doxing somebody's personal private information all throughout my chat just for the sake of, again, me not having a chat. So again, it could create the illusion to you that, you know, again, I would sit here and I would have these very strong opinions while not having a chat. But no, the whole point is I don't have a chat because somebody was literally sitting here using somebody's name who is a person who is incarcerated, and this person's incarcerated with a killer, somebody that could kill them. And this YouTube is literally hashtag free this person all through my chat. So again, if something actually happens to this person, this platform will be liable because all of that information, again, I have so many screenshots. So the whole point is, you see the emoji that the person is absolutely confirming that is why they're doing it, and 100% the fact that YouTube is allowing this. Because I can do whatever I want to take that out. You know, I can... What you have to understand is I've used Nightbot. I've sat here and I have moderated my thing. All they're going to do is mess up Nightbot, or that, like, the moment that I do that, they're going to do something else. They have enough. The point is, they have enough information. They're just going to do something even worse. So you have to recognize what is happening on here to throw shade on anything valid that I would have to say, including that ridiculous emoji. The reason I leave it there is to show you that they are that desperate. Like, again, if it gets down to the wire where I'm starting to really prove what's going on, they'll get that desperate. I've even gotten them to say, I'm sorry before. I'm really sorry. Like, type it really quickly in chat. I swear to God, I've gotten a few times already. And then, you know, like the whole quick delete of the message and then they disappear for a little while. I swear to God, I've gotten them to do it a few times. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. So that's what you have to understand about this person. The person doing this is incredibly triggered and emotional. They're doing it literally for their own pleasure, for their own, you know, personal gain. It is very imperative that this person is found out and put in a padded cell. It's extremely imperative. I cannot stress that enough. That the person doing this, I cannot stress that enough. You guys know I am very clearly somebody that understands psychological behavior very well. I'm actually pretty good at analyzing human behaviors too. Again, I cannot stress enough this person 100% should be in a padded cell. I cannot stress that enough. Like, the sheer number of times I was talking about a subject that was awful. You know, like something that nobody, like the scummiest scum on earth should think is funny, and this person instantly is there to hit the laugh emoji. The fact that they're like just ready at that second. That's what you have to understand about the way that person thinks, and rationalize that, yeah, that's padded cell time. And again, I don't want to repeat, because the point is, it is even something, you guys know I get pretty colorful on here. I don't hold back too much, but there's even certain subjects, you know, again, I'm not going to sit here and repeat it either. Again, the point is, as long as you have a line, anybody knows what I'm talking about. Any sane, any individual, you immediately know. Because that's the point. And most, any crazy person, anarchist, they will back that up. Well, yeah, I don't care. There is no line. Well, that is actually, that defines it then. And that's what you'll rationalize about this person. Again, you should know that. Any any analyst probably would know that too. You know, the moment that you rationalize somebody doesn't have a line, again, it doesn't matter what it is. If they don't have a line, there it is. Everybody, again, you can have your own opinions, or, you know, things like that, you know. But if you just don't have one, that's a little bit different. A valid point's been made, so obviously now it's all different ones, as you can see. So, you know, I'm not gonna go on about this, but it's very prevalent to, obviously, the subject, because this is what's happening, like, for the most part overall. Like, the mass quantity, it's again, it's not just this person, it's happening all over, and it's a ton of people, and it's way worse. So, like, what's happening to me here, probably, again, tons of other people tenfold, and again, I see it. I got this person to surface with what I say, with what I do. I got them to surface. Somebody else, they're not going to know what's going on. They're not going to have any clue. They're just going to think, this is broken, this is broken, this is They're going to probably hire the scammer. You know, some idiot needs this or this. They're going to, you know, oh, wow, I need, you know, this scammer is going to be the first person to answer that. Yeah, that's what you got to understand. That's not good. It's dangerous. Because, again, it's not just them. It's the number of other people on here that are lurking to do this. Okay, let me put it to you this way. Why is it that you think that videos that say something to the effect of Lyft driver gets car hijacked in 30 seconds in record time, and the person has a wild chase and almost gets away, or something like that. What's on chase for blood, or something like that. Why do you think that gets a lot of views? You know, again, the point is they would have to say, like, almost gets away, or you know, something like that. Why do you think that's going to get a lot of views? The answer isn't because of what you think. It's not the obvious. It's not, oh, well, clearly it's the Lyft. The Lyft driver had his car stolen, you know. It's not. It's, yeah, and there's the emoji. It's the fact that so many, and remember, this video is going to have millions. These videos never have in the hundreds of thousands. They have millions, remember? Everyone that you see, it's got millions. Okay, the reason for that is, again, all the criminals on here that are learning to be criminals, they want to know how that person did that. That's it. And then again, you got all these cops on here uploading body cams. Like, they have whole channels for this. Like, just all they do is upload their body cams. They're just making entire channels uploading body cams the entire time. So, yeah, you know, when somebody wants to upload dash cams and stuff like that, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Because there's plenty of that, too. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a first responder using their job. Again, you have a job and a responsibility to the public, And then you're going to sit here, like, again, what does that tell people? That they need to record you. Like, why do you think everybody's recording cops? Because the point is, they're on body cam. And they're the ones turning it off and shit. So, duh, why do you think it's happening? Maybe stop turning off your body cams. The whole point is that they don't feel safe. They feel like, again, it's to be used against them, not to help them. And quite frankly, I've seen some stuff to that effect. And again, that's what that would tell me. Where you have entire channels doing that. And again, I'm okay with it because the idea is the intent is it should always look like just a channel that's trying to warn people, don't do this or don't do this. This is what happens when you drive drunk or something like that. That's good. That's a message to the public. That has a good message. But just sitting there, you know, just like these looped streams where there's really nothing credible to it. It's again getting all these views just to sit here and play the same looped footage over and over. You're using Trump's likeness. Like that, like it gets so many views or something like that. Like, you know, that's what it's for. You know, like, you're just doing that. It's just a celebrity president. I mean, it's literally MAGA. I already explained this. I mean, Christ, when he came to PA, all those idiots that stood behind him wearing their dumb hats. Did you see that crazy guy with the white hat? Oh my God, that guy looked insane. Did you see the guy with the dude was like this? I was like, what the fudge? I was like, oh my God, these people literally don't care about a president. They just want to meet a celebrity to meet a celebrity. Oh my God. What? Why? What does that do for you? Great. Okay, you met him, now what? Oh, right, he's gonna dangle it in front of you forever. That's right, you didn't meet him, right? Yeah, that's right, yeah. He's gonna dangle it in front of you that's right. You didn't meet him. Yeah, that's right. You almost did. You got a few feet from him, right? Unbelievable. It's not a fan club. That's why you shouldn't sell things. That's why, like, the fact that this guy has, like, paraphernalia that he's selling and stuff like that, that's how it should be looked at. Again, politicians around, you know, picketing and just trying to get support and stuff like that around election time, that I understand. If you can't run again, I'm calling the treason card. I'm calling the you're trying to overthrow that government. You're trying to get somebody in there permanently. I'm calling the treason card, man. You're actually trying it. You know, I mean, geez. Everybody complained. You have to understand when you're being manipulated. The social media president for a reason. Now Russia manipulates social media too. What do you think's happening? Why does he spend entire nights going on all caps tirades on Twitter? That's your president. Why isn't he sleeping? Oh, right, he's doing that. Oh, that's why he's losing sleep. That's right. He's doing that. He's attacking Midas Touch for like the 80th time or something dumb like that. I mean, it's literally what he's doing. And you know why, right? Yeah, because they are sitting on there with Trump's you know, previous attorney. just giving it to him all the time. And I think it's hilarious, and other people do too. And so that's the real reason. Like, this guy really thinks he's gonna, like, be George Washington or something. That's what all this is about. This guy's like, you know, very clearly on his way out. We all know that. He's trying to keep it in the family. We all know that. Okay. His family, like, they're all insane. Just putting that out there. Every last one of them. Can we just stop with the celebrity stuff? Can we hire, like, somebody for the job that deserves it? Like, I don't know, like Pete Buttigieg. I mean, Bernie Sanders was a great candidate forever ago, but he said he was only doing it that time, and that was it. Why? He backs. I'm pretty sure he backs Buttigieg. Almost everybody loves that guy. Even Trump himself would have. That's the point. The best he can do is edge. That's the best he can do. What the hell? What even is that? That's the best he's got? Oh God. That's the point. That's what you should realize about Buttigieg. That guy is a class act. It doesn't get any better than that. I don't care what you think about his personal things in life. That shouldn't matter, his choices in life. That has nothing to do with any ability to run that office. There's nothing to do with it. You know, his what he's shown that he's done already has everything to do with it. What? Why do people do this? I just... I don't understand why you couldn't back all these other qualified candidates when we just had such good options. So, I don't know. Again, if that man is ever an option again, for the love of God, for the love of all that is holy, or for the love of just the world, he is the best candidate you could ever hope for. It doesn't get any better than that. Again, me sitting here and saying, you know, what you could expect out of a candidate is what you could expect. That man is doing it already. He has been doing it all. You don't need it. You don't need to. Again, it's there. Why wouldn't you pick him? I already know, but I'm not. We don't need to go there. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Ridiculous. Should be more of a reason. I mean, like, again, it's not a reason to, but I mean, who cares? Like, God, all the more reason is just how I feel about that stuff. Like, just ridiculous. It'd be like if I mean, I feel like that's as fastidial as literally someday there's gonna be a guy for president again, and he's gonna have this huge beard, right? And how long has it been since we had presidents with beards, right? Like, typically they're clean. And people are gonna be like, I don't know, that beard. And you just, again, like, that's how ridiculous it sounds, but at the same time, you know it's gonna be the beard, but they're gonna pick something else. That's what you have to recognize. They're going to pick something else because they can't pick the beard. Because then you'll know. That's the point. You know, they can't directly attack what you know it is. So they pick something else. Buddha edge. What is it even? Who cares? You literally just suck at pronouncing his name. Literally, you just can't say his name, so that's probably why you're trying to do that. Oh my god. Anyway. He was the best candidate in modern history. I mean, other than Bernie. Bernie's the you don't get much better than Bernie. But again, that's you know, they're about on par, you know. There's nothing, and again, you know, obviously getting the younger, fresh take on things is nice. So I just don't understand. And he's a young guy too. He's younger. Why wouldn't you want that? I'm concerned. I'm concerned about another Gerald Ford situation. That should never happen. He was just terrible. Like, that would probably be a little bit of education for you. Like, just like looking up what happened in the period of time that Gerald Ford was president, and then what happened with his presidency and stuff. I think that actually might be a little bit of an education for you. And then, you know, again, what happened after. So, like, right before, and then after, and then obviously, you know, obviously you just look at what happened. The main thing is look at what happened to his presidency. But my point is, I'm concerned, you know, of that. Again, this guy's been so damaging already. I'm very concerned for that other just complete moron. Where, you know, he's not seemingly dumb, you know? You know, he's not like an old man, you know? It's more that. You know, because I don't trust him. Where the heck? He just came out of nowhere. I don't know that. I don't trust. Heck, who the heck is that guy? He hasn't been doing it and helping us all this time. You know, that's how I feel about, like, again, some of these other guys. You know, it's just, yeah, you know, It's not normal. It's not. It's dysfunctional. All that whole thing is dysfunctional. So, I have a question. With respect to people being qualified to do their jobs, what qualifies Kash Patel to be the director of the FBI? Just asking. This is a genuine question. Maybe a little education for you, too. I feel like that's something you could look up. You know, like, what would actually qualify him. Again, as far as I know, Doesn't he have some service experience? Like, he has some experience in something, but again, when I looked it up, it just, I'm like, eh. Again, these guys, the person, the director of the FBI, like, again, like, just think about what would go into even hiring, like, a regular field agent for the FBI. You know, like, somebody that again, might be in the field, you know, going undercover, like, again, they have to understand the logistics of that, tons of experience with, you know, probably, you know, like deciphering things, you know, like ciphers and stuff like that, like just learning all of these different skills and things that you would just get through experience of doing the job, so that way, eventually, the idea is that you're up for qualification amongst probably many other candidates that also have lots of experience and training like you. And again, the whole point is to pick the best out of all those people that would direct the FBI in a direction that makes sense, you know, again, for the general public, for you know, so there's not this civil unrest, because the point is to investigate things on a federal level, to help with the crime, you know, rate on a federal level, obviously. And so again, I'm not saying that the guy is not qualified to do any job. I'm just saying, like, in fact, I'm sure there's probably jobs that he's overly qualified for. And I'm not even saying that guy actually doesn't seem stupid. He really doesn't. Out of all of them, he really doesn't. That's the weird thing. But at the same time, you know, because that is weird to me, because I'm actually surprised by that he wouldn't just, you know, because that is very strange. But again, because you have to understand, he's going to want somebody that he can manipulate, you know, you get what I'm saying. Anyway, again, there's just so many qualifications for that particular job, is all I'm saying. And I think it's obvious. I mean, I'm obviously not the only one that sees that. There's other people that see that, and it's on the surface. It's surface level stuff. It's not even stuff that you know, again, it's just basic knowledge where you look a person up and you just go, well, what come on, what is his qualification really? Should he have even been in the candidate pool? It just doesn't make any sense. It's the sort of thing where almost anybody that would look at that from a hiring standpoint, just a managerial standpoint, would understand what I'm saying, where it's just that sort of kind of like basic logistics of understanding why you would hire somebody for that position, you know, that has different qualifications than him, if that makes sense. Again, military service, it isn't necessarily something I'd consider even. I mean, yeah, maybe, but it's not necessarily something. Yeah, obviously, if you're police, you're a cop for a long time. That's obviously a very important consideration, and experience with law. I think, like, just knowing federal law and having perhaps a law degree of some kind might be handy. It's not necessarily a requirement, I think, but I think it should be almost expected that you're you know, director of this, and again, the job is to enforce and you know, like do something about these federal laws being broken by people that, again, the regular police units are ill-equipped to deal with. So you got to be well above that. So I don't understand. I don't understand what you're considering for that qualification if that's the person that you're considering for it. I guess that's what I'm saying, because it's not who I would put in that position, and not to be rude to him. Again, I'm sure he's overly qualified for plenty of jobs, as, you know, professionals are. That guy actually seems a lot more like a... I'm being genuinely honest. Like, as much as I make... Like, I do post the video and stuff. As far as that guy's concerned, like, I actually genuinely don't... I have nothing... He's never been somebody where I was like, oh, that guy's... Watch out for that guy. Like, he doesn't... It's just... I just don't think he's qualified for that job. That's all. Like, I don't get a bad, like, hugely bad vibe from him or anything like that. Just, that's all. You know. So anyway, I think that's kind of what's happening is maybe that is intentional, and maybe it sort of like is like, maybe he doesn't want anybody in the position kind of knowing what's going on. Being a little bit foolish to it. I do know that the executive director, I think, just resigned, right? That you have to understand, that's probably like a sort of thing where he was told he has to resign instead of being fired. Because remember, the first time around, Trump fired everybody. And we know about that. We talked about that. He ruined Sean Spicer's career. Because that guy, nothing, again, all that guy ever did was just lie for Trump. And then one day he just had enough, and he finally told the truth, and Trump fired him. Literally that happened. So you have to recognize that Trump is just now telling people, oh, you're going to resign. It's what, again, doing that, yeah, like that's the way that they're protecting themselves, so neither one of them, it just looks like, oh, he just wanted to resign. He was bad. He admitted it. He just wanted to resign. You win some, you lose some. Sound about right. You know, it's pretty funny that everybody can see, like, there's literally more likes on the stream than counted views right now. There's 1,200 people watching the stream, and there's 62 counted views. I just, again, this is incredible. It really is. It really is incredible to see how much crap is going on. Oh boy. All right, so I think y'all need to... I think y'all need to chill a little bit. I think y'all need to chill a little bit. You know, I don't understand this regular thing where people have to start threatening big streamers and stuff like that. I will never understand threatening people in general, but again, just sitting here blaming all of your problems on Asmongold isn't helping anything. It doesn't make your problems go away. Does it? It's gonna just make more for you. It's not gonna make them go away. So why is everybody giving him views? If you supposedly hate this guy so much, why are you sitting here giving him content? This is what you're doing. No, you're doing it for that, and you know it. You're doing it to be seen doing it. You like him. And you want him to like you, but he has taken a stance against people like you, and you're like that, right? Stop doing this to yourself. Stop. First of all, I promise you, Asmongold doesn't just implicitly hate a group of people. He doesn't. It's not how he is. It's not how most people are. You put that on him. Does he speak his mind? Yeah. But so do a lot of streamers and a lot of people. Unless somebody is specifically stating, again, they hate an entire group of people or something like that, very specifically, stop doing this, please. You're spreading the hate. It's you. It's not Asmongold in this community, it's you. So please stop. I know it's probably not going to help, but I'm just asking. You know, again, if you truly didn't like the guy, you wouldn't give him content. So why are you? Why don't you, again, if you truly don't like something, leave it alone. Let it be. When you find yourself in times of trouble, you just have to let it be. Okay, so I promise it'll be okay if you just let it be. But if you don't, that's when problems happen. Everybody doesn't hate you and hate trans people and furries and stuff like that. It's not true. You think this because you see that posted everywhere on the internet. That's what trolls do. Don't listen to bullies on the internet. And again, if this affects you so much, stop looking at the internet. Get off it. Don't ever go back. I'm serious. Like, you have to have some self-control if that's what's affecting you. And again, I promise there's not like a huge group of people that just sits here and hates everybody. It's, again, the whole point is that if you are sitting there putting that on that group, then you're kind of the one doing that, because you're saying, you're making the statement that they're doing that, but really they're not doing that. So now you've put that on them, and now it becomes a thing. Now it becomes a thing of tension. So, again, if people really hated Asmongold, then they wouldn't do those things and give him endless content. They would just leave well enough alone, or calmly stated. It's not like Asmongold is sitting here going out of his way to post huge amounts of streams and posts and stuff against certain groups of people or anything like that. He's just making content, man, and quite frankly, entertaining content. So you can't fault him for that. If you're watching, if ultimately you're watching it, he got you. Sounds like the guy knows about business. Just please understand, it's all it is. Well, it's oftentimes images and just ways of feeling about things and opinions. He has a right to have that opinion, just as you have a right to have yours, and not necessarily force it upon him, and he's not going to force his opinion on you either. But again, you gotta be willing to respect people's channels and space to do and create what they want to create. Otherwise, that's you're kind of doing the same thing, where you're blaming this person for being hateful, supposedly, but that's actually what you're doing, because he didn't actually do anything and actually be hateful in the first place. He's just sort of stating his opinion about things. And I'll be honest with you, I've disagreed with him on stuff before and stated that, but I don't hate the guy, and again, I don't think he's dumb, which is what people are saying and stuff like that. I don't think he's dumb. In fact, I think he's part of his problem. He's actually really intelligent, and this can be a crutch for some people, and overanalyzation and stuff like that. I won't go into detail, but people have a problem with that sort of thing, and so just understand that that's oftentimes, it's just maybe like an overanalyzation about things, and maybe people arrive at different conclusions than you did, and stuff like that. Different walks and different paths in life. That's all. So try to respect that. Try to respect that different people have different experiences, and you might just come from a different background. He's never met anybody like you, doesn't know you, and then kind of knows you from afar, and you sort of kind of act a little goofy. You have to understand how he's gonna feel, and just that's gonna look a certain way from his perspective, because he grew up this way, and he had this experience, and it's different from yours. So try to do what you would expect of him, and meet him halfway too, and see that there's just a really, really huge gap of miscommunication and misunderstanding between people. We're all the human race here, guys. So anyway, I will, just like what I was talking about with, comedians and stuff like that, that have used, sort of jokingly, jokingly, angry approaches of comedy and stuff like that. you know, that's just, you know, again, it's the same sort of thing, you know, like you have to recognize, you know, it's an act, it's a um it's part of it, you know, for you know, some, you know, and others, you know, again, obviously, like that's not everybody, you know. Obviously everybody's not going to do that, but some may, you know, and that's all, you know. Just some people's way of expressing things looks different than others. Again, if they're in their own space on their own channel, you know, and stuff like that, they're not forcing it down your throat. You're going out of your way to see it. That's all there is to it. Um, so we have this, again, this crossroads where right now there are so many channels that I feel like are doing this, and everything's opposite. You know, again, you can't, you know, the part of the reason why um YouTube doesn't want to promote, I'm not making this up, because I've experimented with it, and I know what happens. Now I started documenting, and I shouldn't have said anything. I should have just kept it to myself, but because then they got behind it. But you know, basically, if you're not participating in what everybody else is doing, is like the thing, you know, I it's you're not gonna it's not gonna get promoted. Um, and unfortunately, I consider the thing right now to be a bit toxic, because it's not honest, and it contributes to the whole kind of trolling nature, the disinformation nature, because it's what's trending is all clickbait. Like literally, everybody knows it too. What How often do you click on something now where it says something like, I don't know, I was in complete shock by the end of this video. So you watch the whole video. And nobody was in shock. Nothing happened. It was a completely normal video. Yeah, there's the influx of views too. Wow, great title. I should, yeah. That's I can do it. I know how to do it. Just because I know how to do it doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and abuse it. I think it's wrong. Now, again, everybody's fallen victim to this. They're starting to do it, but I really don't think that you should. I think if anybody understands what's happening here, it's teaching the AI incorrectly. The AI that's trying to automate everything is not understanding. And so, like, just everything is so contrary. Like, you don't understand, AI and systems are very logical. So when you're sitting here constantly stating the opposite, like a trolling, it just doesn't understand why you do that. Like, sarcasm is completely beyond logical scope. It's like a paradox for a logical thinker. So you have to, and then the problem is giving it more more logic, more understanding is not good. Obviously, you don't want learning there. So there's a real, I personally think it's a real problem where, again, it's not gone away. Where there would have been a new thing by now, probably, and it's not gone away. Like it's sort of lasting, and it's like, oh no. Oh, can there be a new thing now? Can we all be tired of this now? Why is cringe staying around? Everybody thinks cringe is cool to say cringe now, and anything's cringe. That's been going on now for like 6, 7, 8 years. Like can we retire the everything's cringe now message? I am just sick of everybody thinking everything is cringe all the time. Why is everything cringe? Why? Because it's cool and edgy to hate something and dislike it. Oh God, the Robert Downey Jr. gif where he's rolling his eyes. That's what I literally that's what I just thought of. I just I cannot rationalize that at all. I cannot. We shouldn't allow the automated cancel rhythm to cancel. You know, what happens when you create an entire system of clickbait stuff where everything's opposite? You know, like what I just said. Well, it creates an atmosphere where everything gets canceled. You know, at the instant that one little thing is off, oh, that's just the next one. And then it creates cults where you'll never cancel that nostalgic one that's always been there, when maybe sometimes they should be. I'm not saying Asmon, he should never. I would never agree with that. But you know, I'm just saying. You know, just in general. He doesn't need to be canceled. No, we don't cancel people for why? Somebody's free speech, man. I just feel like you know, like that is just so dumb to try to cancel people. Like unless, like I could see again if like whatever they're doing is like really damaging to the whole platform and environment. I mean, obviously I understand that, but you're gonna have to really show me that that's happening, you know, for me to get behind that. Anyway, you know, there's this really crazy thing where you know, again, it's just that cancel idea where, you know, everybody just can't wait to jump on who they're gonna cancel next, and they hope it's some really big streamer. What do you think is gonna happen? That I just don't understand what they think. They're just not thinking it through. They're clearly not thinking it through. Like, just what do you think is gonna happen with that? Clearly not whatever you think the outcome is. Anybody that's thought that through logically obviously knows. It's not logical. Yeah, we got all these people in here, and the same views are counted. Look at this, 64 views counted with all these people in here. It's crazy. And they've been in here this whole time. Look at this. Look at all these viewers. Look. Man, they're just lying. They're just lying. So again, the qualification doesn't have to be military. Actually, we learned from Eisenhower we don't necessarily want somebody with lots of military experience. Not necessarily. Not that he was all bad, but just again, that was the general thought that, he was too military minded. Again, we need that middle of the road. We always need that JFK, that Obama. Again, that we need that. You have to have that bipartisan, viewpoint where these folks are willing to bring people together instead of causing segregation. I mean, that's literally all that's happening. It's just, your current president segregating people instead of bringing them together. The thing I worry about is the fact that this president has a history of being a criminal. He is a convicted felon. I mean, this guy literally is a convict. 23 accounts? It's absurd. I don't even remember. It's absurd. Maybe it was 23 accounts of obstruction of justice. It might be like 9 accounts or something like. But it's still absurd. It's still the number is insane. And he's an actual convict in office. And again, obviously the thing that concerns me is the fact that this guy has direct access, right out of his pocket to the CIA. You understand the CIA operates outside of our country, right? You know that, right? What does that mean? Think about what that means, especially since our current president likes Putin and has been selling secrets. We have evidence of that. He stated that he was going to do that. He let it slip like he does other things. What does this mean? You need to know what this means. You need to understand what it means that the CIA is out of the president. Why does that matter? You have to understand why. That is important. Do you understand why? Because when you have something that planned, that intelligent, with that much money thrown at it, again, the biggest government, military country on the planet, and it's their intelligence agency, and it only operates outside the U.S., what that does is it means foreign influence. Again, only the president. They answer to the president, maybe a couple other SecDef, maybe. But mainly the president. That means is if that president's a moron, which he is, the CIA will have foreign influence and will be spying on the NSA and will absolutely, unequivocally control, manipulate, and spy on our government, our citizens, our military, and quite frankly, our national security in general. That's what you have to realize about how our CIA operates with the current president that we have. That's the concern. That's the big concern. Because he is an idiot. And he does think Putin's our friend. And he does sell secrets. And he does get rid of the Iran nuclear deal. And he does make mistakes. And he does touch Prince's arms. And he does accept planes from Qatar. And he does do stupid things. We know this. His Secretary of War, which isn't a real title, texting war plans. So it's some basic thing that even somebody working at the FBI would know not to do, let alone the Secretary, what's supposed to be the Secretary of Defense. So that's the concern, the biggest concern of them all, is the fact that right now, CIA is probably being flat out used to manipulate the NSA. Signal war. Breaches. Yeah. So, in a world that's heading towards drone battles and AI, that's extremely dangerous. But here we are. Here we are. We have a president that is such a child about his own health. He's threatening to sue people and talk bad about it. He's actually doing that. What child? Again, the same person that wears a hat, that thought about this, had it made, put the order in. A hat that says I was right about everything. He wears it he has to wear it. He thought about this, he had it made, he put the order in, he had it shipped, he got it, he opened it up, he saw all the hats, and he's like, yeah. He's sitting there with it, he's thinking about this, he has plenty of time to not do it. He's a fucking adult thinking about this. He's got plenty of time to think it through and be an adult and say, it's probably not a good idea to send the message that I think I'm right about everything. Even if I do think that, it's probably not a good idea as the President of the United States to embroider a hat that announces to the entire world that you're a fucking narcissist. But hey, let's do it anyway. And so, he embroiders a red freaking hat that says, I was right about everything. It's just this giant thing, just as much of a commercial ad as anything else he sells, all his products that he sells. Yep. Fascinating stuff. Again, I've never seen any other president have people wearing hats all the time. Anything, really, all the time. You know, it's not a fan club. Because they're not trying to be a celebrity. They're not trying to sit here and sell a brand. What is that? Well, that's somebody, that's a salesman taking advantage of his voters. On an organic level. And people can't see it. It's actually straight up the reason why it's obvious that, you know, it's like, again, it's very foolish. What purpose does it serve to sit here and buy a hat that says to your president that you endlessly support them no matter what? Because again, you want that president to represent you and do the things that you voted for them for. You want them to represent you. So why would you sit here and implicitly just tell them and send the message to them that they can do whatever the hell they want? Lie about it. Because you're wearing their hat and their shirt. That's what it does. It actually creates a psychological effect on you into tricking you into always liking, because now you've invested. You spent money. It's a trick. It's a scam. You feel invested, so therefore terrible, huh? It is. It's terrible. But it's true. And again, no other politician has ever done things like this, really. Ever. That I can recall. You know, just like branding and trying to sell merchandise. Again, picket signs, bumper stickers, maybe sometimes hats and t-shirts around election time, but they stop those things after, and it's very limited runs and stuff. Like, they don't sit here and try to endlessly brand themselves and sell stuff. No, nobody does that except for this guy. He's literally a walking billboard. Again, I want to remind you of when he went on, was it Letterman? I don't remember who it was, but before he was president, right as he was around election time, right before he was president, I think before the election, he went on there and they were looking at his ties. You know, he was trying to promote his new line of ties, and this is what they were talking about. And I remember distinctly him going on there and trying to literally sell his brand and line of ties. And distinctly, I remember, you know, again, remember, he doesn't like China, and he's against China and things being made in China and stuff like that at this time. You know, he's stating this because it's very popular among his voters to do this, so he's just stating it. And then the whole point is he has him flip his tie around. He's like, "What? Why don't you go ahead and flip that around?" And what does that say on the back there? Where does it say it's made? And it said it was made in China. Yep. You had all these warning signs. I mean, like, literally, Trump, since forever, has been importing Chinese steel and getting huge, massive discounts on it, while lying about it, too. That guy has been using Chinese steel for freaking ever, all while saying, we don't want to outsource jobs to China. He's always done it. Just like they found illegals on his one golf course. He's sitting here trying to pretend like illegals, like he cares about illegal immigration stuff. He literally had illegals working on his golf course. That happened. So again, stop trying to sit here and pretend like if you support him, you're going to, again, momentarily just forget about these things that you claim to have some sort of line. No, the point is you don't. You're not ever drawing a line. You just momentarily claim to draw it at certain times. Which is why you'll never win debates and stuff like that. Why you always lose. Every single... That's why Trump always lost. Every debate he ever had, he lost. He hasn't won a single debate ever. Do you know why? Because he never actually debated anything. Never once can I remember a single time he actually gave an answer. Ever. Try to find one. I would actually welcome the challenge that, again, go back, watch every debate, and try to find a single time that Trump actually answered a question. Not him saying he's going to make it great and it's going to be big and stuff. No, I'm talking about a real answer. And again, he can't sit there and say, but the Democrats this, and but Biden's doing this. No, remember, he has to give an answer of something a plan, something he's going to actually do that's a real plan, and tell us how he's going to do it. Instead of just not answering, or just endlessly sitting here and bitching about Democrats. Which is what his voters do. Because they have nothing to sit here and argue and debate and credible to say. That's the point. There's nothing he can do. Or has done. So, that's kind of the point. He's never even won a debate. All he ever did is talk over people. Take all of his time, more of their time. Try to make the debates look like a joke. When, again, they used to be respected and treated with respect. Just like all the other stuff that he has sat here and seemingly not had any respect for. And now it's a joke. It's kind of like the office of the President of the United States. Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of like just deciding to randomly demolish sections of the White House. Just all on your own. You made this decision. And then lied about it. You try again. He lied. Remember, he lies. Yes, other people agreed to this. Nobody wanted you to do that. Plenty of people were sitting here complaining. Plenty of lawmakers were complaining. Trust me. Plenty of members of Congress did not like that. Actually sitting here trying to say you had support for that. There's a lot of people that didn't like that. You're not convincing anybody. You know, it's pretty sad when all Trump could ever do is sit here and try to use Hunter Biden. Or point the finger at Joe's age. Even though Trump's only like 3 years difference. And then with Obama, like, you know, like, what can he say? He's flat out sitting here trying to take credit for everything Obama did. Like, that's what he does. Remember, we used to sit on stream. All stream and sit here and actually, like, the amount of things that guy tried to actually say that he did and tried to take credit for that Obama actually did, it's unbelievable. And we would go for hours sitting there comparing, talking about literally things that Obama and Joe Biden both did to help the country, that Trump was sitting there trying to claim that he did. We actually could sit there and just go on and on and on, because again, this guy literally just lies to his voter base. Anything that's good, that again, they'll never look this up and become informed. Remember what I told you. They're people typically with not any time to do this. They just believe everything Fox and Friends tells them and shit like that. It's just literally made up, complete bullshit lies. And they'll never believe in a million years that Obama did these things to help them, because, you know, maybe they got a little bit of a racial problem, a racist problem or something like that. You know, and they can't own up to it, so they're in just denial, and they'll just never support something that guy says, just because they have a racial problem, you know, or something like that. Just like all the people that sat here and were very obviously against both women candidates that were overly qualified, well enough qualified for the position. And again, while the current idiot in charge is literally just a moron at everything. No, again, didn't ever win a debate, had nothing credible to say. And again, just seemingly talked over people, took more than his time, never answered a single debate question. And I want to remind you, he didn't win against Hillary. The Electoral College picked him. Hillary had millions more votes. Hillary Clinton had millions more votes than Donald Trump. Whatever in your entire life do you vote for? And then you just pick the one that doesn't win. You know, like, you vote, you get everybody to vote, and then you just pick the second place one instead. Whatever in life does this ever happen? Do you watch a sports game? Do you watch an NFL game? And then after the game's over, they just decide to say, hey, the team with the least amount of points, they won this time, guys. Yeah, we're just gonna say that they won. Screw it. It's opposite day. You know, or something dumb like that. So why are they trying to do this? Why is this our supposedly our democratic election process? What? Huh? That needs to be adjusted. That is exactly the fraud. That is exactly how it is being manipulated. Absolutely. It's not a democratic process at all. We have plenty of democratic processes in this government. Tons of them. But that's not one. That is not a democratic. There's nothing democratic about that. That is literally just rich people pick who they want. I swear to God, that is why that happens. And again, we have evidence of this. And yeah, now there's evidence of the election fraud and stuff like that. And before there wasn't. That's why you have that. Gee, I wonder if the guy running for presidency is rich, and then somebody who was also richer bought him his candidacy this time around. You didn't see a problem with that? That's a real problem. That's not your vote counting. And again, remember, Hillary Clinton won the election. And again, it's one of the very few times that this happened in modern history, but Hillary Clinton won the election. But again, the Electoral College just picked Trump. Because again, it doesn't matter. It's all on electoral votes. And that's the nonsense he was trying to scam with the whole, redoing the districts and stuff. Flat out. We all know what he was trying to do with that. Obviously. So again, that's what you have to look out for when you got somebody that's a dictator and they start figuring out how to scam me the system, and then you have this little thing that was never dealt with, like the Electoral College. Should have dealt with it. That's bad. Now, again, the whole point is now for another time. We now have another example. And it wasn't even that big of a win. Obama, he won by a lot. There's no question with that one. Yeah, each time Trump wins, it's not very much. It's really not. And with Hillary, holy crap, she had a lot more votes. She had millions more. That's not okay. That is not okay. It's not. And you have to understand that's what really happened. So many people in this country felt cheated. They voted for her. And everybody stepped on her, too. Walked all over this very qualified woman that had a very respecting position in our government for a long time. Made the right choices, did the right things. People tried to obviously find her guilty of certain things, but no, it wasn't her. It was other people doing things incorrectly, or just incorrectly communicating, or just somebody again trying to rile things up and cause a problem when there really wasn't one. It's just people meddling. It's all political nonsense. That's all that is. It's politicizing these government positions that the people should never be politicizing, like Secretary of State and stuff like that. Ridiculous. Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, none of these things, the director of the FBI, none of this stuff really is on the level anymore. It really isn't. None of it is. It's literally all just a bunch of political nonsense. And even the stuff that you think is real, it's like, man, you gotta question that too. Are they just doing this for the TV show? And again, here I am speaking against it. And, as soon as we had the malicious bitrate shift, my views are lied about. My views are not being counted. Where these views were fine. But, as soon as we have that malicious bitrate shift that we know where it's coming from, we know it's coming from the Trump administration, we know it's coming from crazy MAGA stalkers, that this guy literally gets out of jail. These people literally killed cops in Washington, D.C., and Donald Trump bailed them out of jail. That's what we're talking about here. And these people are stalking me and causing problems for all these people that would literally sit here and talk about Trump, because that's his cult. So that's all that's happening. And they're causing problems for me and everybody else. And this is what's happening here. where we literally are just seeing the result of what they're doing. You know, that malicious bitrate shift, and then all of a sudden none of these views are being counted. You literally just, I can sit here and show you. Look at that. Look at all these viewers. Like, this is crazy. We've had all these viewers this whole time. All, like, thousands the whole time. 231 likes on the stream. Oh, yeah, 68 views. How does that make any sense? Well, it doesn't. Yeah, it's not real. They're lying about it. And it's that shift of the stream, the bit rate. You know, again, you guys have caught the streams. Last night we had the issue too. I was documenting all night, all through that stream. I was documenting the fact that anytime a second viewer would come in, we'd see the 2 show up. It would cycle it back down to 1 and just lie about it. Yep. And again, I started proving that, and no sooner after I started sitting here proving it, doing something about it, it was very obvious to tell that they can see my screen, they can see everything, and they are watching it. Because as soon as the number of times that the second that I start to document this, they change it, and the stream's gone for fucking 6 hours like this. Yet the very second that I start getting that software up and I start documenting what's happening, oh, now you instantly have 3 people in the stream. Right when I said that, and there was 1 previous to that. So again, there's the 2 concurrents that instantly show up in the stream that I've said all throughout of this happening. And that literally was what was happening. Even so much as, again, last night on those streams where you guys saw me talking about what I was talking about, that's all that happens. Literally just start fucking lying about it. So that's a very serious fraud situation where the entire platform is getting away with who knows how much lying about views. Where I should have monetization prerequisites and the ability to have super chats and stuff. I meet those prerequisites and they just never gave them to me. I've had watch time hours for over a year. Yeah, I've had the subscriber count too. Pretty crazy. And then conveniently these are the numbers that are being messed with. Where we know I've talked about my average view duration not adding up. And then obviously we know that that's what is affected and stuff like that. And we know it's all about that. Just literally canceling channels so that, that like essentially that doesn't happen, where, it's full manipulation of whoever they want to essentially not be talking about this or this, and then just, again, endlessly promoting these nostalgic, originals that are always, always, always there. Or, like whatever new ones that they would agree with at, like whatever momentary time they want to start agreeing with these people. And then, again, just, if they decide to start disagreeing with them, well, they just cancel them then, So this is the example of when maybe you played a different game or you just did something different and then you notice that all your views stopped, or, like you just got, like, essentially people call this demonetization, right? That's what they think is happening. Why would that happen? Why? played a different game, started doing a different subject on your, just slightly different subject on your shoe. That doesn't make any sense. Like, this is the most asinine thing I think I've ever heard. Oh, well, the guy, man, that guy went from playing Last Epoch to playing this auto battler. So, you know, I don't know if we can promote him now. We're gonna have to just demonetize his entire channel and make sure he only gets one viewer. And anyone else comes in, just count it as one. This is the most asinine thing I think I've ever heard. What the hell? That sounds fraud. It sounds like, again, you made up a scheme to trick somebody into thinking, oh no, you're not going to change this now. Because, like something about what you were doing was you benefiting off what they were doing and not them. And now you changed it. Yeah, like, that's what it sounds like to me. It literally sounds like a scam. And this is all across the platform. And everybody just thinks, oh, I got demonetized just, you know, because. What? And again, the problem is that endlessly YouTube trash tube doesn't communicate. This is what they do. They shift your bitrate around maliciously all over the goddamn place. What the fuck kind of communication is that? Are you kidding me? It's zero communication. It's manipulation. It is literally psychological anxiety. It's intentionally giving somebody anxiety. So you just control their anxiety. Literally, that is what they're doing. YouTube gives you anxiety and then controls it. I swear to God, that is literally what they're doing. Because again, it gives you a fear. And it's irrational. Trust me, it's irrational. The whole point is mind control. They want to literally manipulate what everybody thinks. To sell you things. To get you to stop using ad blockers that you are legally allowed to use that are built straight into your fucking browser. Literally that. And you know flat out that's the real reason. You know it's why. It's disgusting. And I called it out too. I called out a while ago. I noticed that I had problems. I noticed a real trend. I had problems a lot when I got rid of my YouTube TV for a little while. And then I got it back and then I stopped having problems. So I didn't say anything. I shut up about it. And then I canceled it again. But then I put in a report for why I canceled it. Yeah, because I wanted to be honest about it. And I had so many problems. And then I noticed that as a trend, like a real thing, so I talked about it, and then I had even more problems. This is what's been happening for me. This is like literally like the entire history of it. You say one thing that they don't like, and then it's a manipulation thing. So, it's just a full-on manipulation scheme by them. You know, just psychological manipulation, you know, of whatever they want. So, flat out, just literally. Oh, just he's saying that. We should shift this fucking bit rate around all over the place. Remove all the views. Yeah, I mean, like, how many times can I show you guys a screenshot of, like, after the stream or during the stream, and there's thousands of views, and then they will literally remove every last one of them. How many times did I show you that? Literally thousands of views, and then 2-3 days later, that stream has like 100, like, or like 60 views or something like that. What the heck is that? So 3,500 to down to like 60. Oh, that makes sense. It's totally. And then you see this. And you see this shit. And you can clearly see thousands of viewers have been watching the whole time. Just as you can see in the view counter right here. You can see the view counter right here. I mean, that is an active concurrent view counter. That's how many people are in the stream right now. That is YouTube's view counter. $72 views. 231 likes. 72 views. Anyway, I felt the need to get on and give you guys a little bit of a chat. But here we are. We're rolling on about 3 hours now. So that's about right. It's about time. I've been ranting for 3 hours now. I can shut up and get off stream. But you know, again, the message is, please don't think that everybody that supports a Democrat is some sort of extreme other side point of view. It's just not the case. It's actually oftentimes people recognizing that an independent vote, again, I love Bernie, but he's just, again, even he ran Democrat, you know, like, he even ran Democrats understanding that he was never going to win a presidency running independent. He's an independent, okay? He's not even a Democrat. So just understand that. Understand that when we say that voting third parties, like voting for the guy you don't want, that's the reason we say that, again, is exactly what he was trying to do to rig the election this time. That's the whole point. When you look at the percentages in the areas where somebody would have voted, where they voted third party, if you give those percentages, they seem really small, and there's no way that third party would ever win. But if you gave that percentage to one of the other candidates, it would have turned the election the other way. Every time. Every time. That's why we say that. It's not something, it's a conspiracy, it's a real thing. It sucks, It is just the way it is. The more you sit here and try to deny, well, if everybody would just stop saying that, then we could. They've been saying this since the frickin' 50s. I am not making this up. People had the same idea as you. It's called the hippie days. The hippies lived all through this. You know, they grew up. They were the boomers. They grew up. Yeah, they had the same idea. Okay? It's no different. It didn't work. You have to understand when these things didn't work, we've tried them again, and history is repeating itself, and there's warnings. Please recognize that is the warning. Voting third party really is like voting for the guy you don't want. Pick one or the other. Until we do something about the broken system, pick one or the other. Otherwise, don't do it. Because you're screwing it up. I promise you. It's you. And it's not to, you're not to blame. No one's to blame here. That's not the point. But you do need to recognize when there's a solution and we're trying to provide that and you're not hearing that. That's all. So again, for as long as I can remember, it's been like that, and everybody's been talking about this again. It's not a new concept. As far as I know, again, like I said, it started way back with the boomers in the 60s and 70s once they started, having these like the ideas free thinking, free thought, the opinions matter, and that's true. But it still didn't change anything. It didn't change the broken system. It didn't fix anything. We just got more parties, and nobody voted for them. So, recognize that. And then, so, again, change that to the more ethical, correct answer. I know it sucks, but it's better than voting for the guy you didn't want, because it's all you have to recognize. As soon as you recognize, you go back and you look at those numbers and you're, yeah, that is true. That is the actual reality of it. It's hard to deny facts and statistics and stuff like that. So I'll leave you with that. I'll leave you with that thought. Just that there was never huge, massive voter fraud election evidence until the most recent election. So just putting that out there, okay? Even the one between him and Hillary, it was generally thought that was just really weird that happened, but was showing that it could be misused. And then... You get the point. There wasn't really any evidence of it. Biden won, still not really any evidence of it, and then Trump won, all while seemingly being bought out by. You get the point. And then it wasn't really the win seemed weird. It just very low. It just look at the numbers, look at the statistics, and then again everything I just said about the swing states, the third party vote, all that stuff factored into your logical conclusion to the system the way it is. So I'll leave you with that. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. That's the end of my rant for now. And just remember, if you see some of these streams, the late, the stuff that we're doing where it's like documentation, that's what it is. Okay. Just recognize that. Like, if it's there, it is to make you laugh a little bit. Obviously it's a little segment, little haha. We can all laugh a little bit and have a joke with each other and have some fun. So I'll do that too. I'll put some joking in it too. But just recognize it's also to kind of draw out the natural nature of what's going on. And you're supposed to recognize those things. Now that I've said that, it might change a little bit of the dynamic, but it didn't previously, so supposed to recognize those things and try to follow along as the patterns as the patterns unfold. So anyway, thanks, appreciate it again, and have a good night, guys. And again, happy holidays to everybody. I know we're getting close. We're getting close to the holidays, so happy holidays to everybody. If I don't, you don't come on the channel or anything before then, happy holidays.